What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here for the weekly sports card market update. Has anything happened this week? I feel like it's been pretty quiet. Anything happened in the news? No, I didn't think so. Um, yeah, what a crazy week. Probably the craziest week ever. I've been back in the game almost 2 years now, and this is definitely the PWCC thing on its own. Like literally, eBay just kicking off the biggest seller on the platform of sports cards would rank pretty high up on like wildest news stories in the sports card world. And then we just completely trumped that. And how many people forgot about PWCC? Um, what a just nutso week. I have some more thoughts on the whole Fanatics thing, but I think I'll save that for a video later this week. I'm still processing some stuff, just kind of maybe like a predictions video, how I kind of think things will go. Um, Sports Card Radio, which has been around forever. I've listened to their podcast for a long time now. The host is a little interesting. I'll leave it at that, but he has some pretty legit takes on stuff. They posted a 3-hour long podcast about it. It's worth listening to if you get through the introduction. But they have some really good, interesting takes on like distribution and long-term stuff, and which was kind of some stuff that I was already thinking about anyway. But that was pretty good. So might recommend checking that out if you have like a long drive ahead of you or something. I don't know if they'll drop that as a podcast as well. Um, so yeah, just what a week! What a week! Have some newsy updates, things to talk about. Might actually keep charts and graphs kind of quick and talk more at a macro level this week. Just because it was an absolutely crazy week. I went to the local Canton show on Saturday. Didn't make any pickups. Saw a couple interesting things. Someone had a Baker booklet NTRPA out of 99, like the one I bought the week before or 2 weeks ago. I almost made a play on that, but I feel like I was just forcing it just to make a play. There's another show today in Youngstown, Ohio at the Holiday Inn. I am probably going to go to that. It's about an hour or so drive for me, but I think I might run down there first thing in the morning to check it out. So probably right as this video is posting, I'm probably walking into that show, actually. What else? What else? What else? Little Sunday spotlight action. I had the opportunity to pop on the Sketch Card Hives YouTube channel. That's hosted by Norin, who is also on the Marvel Card Collectors podcast. Him and Gigi Man host that. Really, really good. They were popping on talking about the state of non-sports cards like Marvel trading cards and how all this shakeup could affect them downstream if Fanatics decides to like make a play for Upper Deck or go after more licenses and stuff. So a little live stream on Friday. I popped on about halfway through. I was actually in chat and they invited me on, so I popped on. And then I don't know when he's dropping it yet, but I'll link to it. We've actually already planned a scheduled interview. He wanted to have me on the channel. So I'll link to that once it's up, and I'll link to his channel in the description down below. If you're interested in anything Marvel cards, highly recommend checking out his YouTube channel, but I highly, highly recommend the podcast as well. I'd actually been listening to the podcast for almost a year now. I didn't even realize he had a YouTube channel until a few months ago. But definitely worth checking out. And like I said, I'll link to the channel, and then I don't know exactly when the video is going up yet. I'm recording this Saturday night. I did not see it post yet. But he said it would be up in the next couple days. So I'll link to that in a community post once it drops. But go check out Norin's channel over at Sketch Card Hive for all of your Marvel shenanigans. A couple interesting things to touch on more on the, one's negative, one's real negative. Well, I don't know that it's negative. I don't know. I almost debated not talking about this, but we'll get there in a second. I have something else to talk about first. Market movers, which I obviously use on the channel a whole bunch. They added a new feature this week, sealed wax. They always had sealed wax on the channel, but now it's like if you've used market movers in the past, they made it like a popular card chart, but for sealed wax. They did a demo of this on their live stream, so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this. But you could switch on the drop down now to sealed wax, and then come over here, popular wax charts, and then pick your sport, and then choose whatever it is that you're looking for. So 2019 Prism Basketball, and we want to look at hobby and retail boxes. search. Right now, it only goes back 6 months, and they have not added a lot of like retail stuff. So like blasters, or mega boxes, cellos, all that stuff's coming. They wanted to get hobby boxes loaded up first and then kind of go from there. So then you can actually chart this stuff just like you can PSA 10s, PSA 9s, etc. So like here's 2019 Prism hobby boxes over the last 6 months. They're down 13%. Retail boxes are down 3%. So from 750 to 725 and 2600 to 2250. Actually, it looks like retail boxes were down under 2K for a long time on 2019. Took a little drop there in May, June, and then kind of leveled out. It looks like they might be going back up again. So, interesting thing there if wax is your game. And then this will also allow you to add it a lot easier to your collection. So, if you use the My Collection tool on Market Movers Pro, and you have a bunch of wax as they build it into the platform, you'll be able to add that in there and track like the daily portfolio movements for your stack of sealed wax. So I thought that was a very interesting feature that's been in the works for a while. So I'm excited. I'm not a wax guy, so I'm not probably going to use it from like a collection standpoint, but it'll be interesting to track sealed wax over time, especially like when new product releases, like the ebb and flow of like blaster boxes, and when is the best time. Actually, be able to visualize when is the best time to sell. Is it right as they release? Is it wait 6 weeks? I'd always said like wait 8 to 12 weeks, then start selling. Wait a few weeks after the supply dries up, then start selling because the price usually starts going back up again. So it'll be nice to be able to visualize that. The other newsy story, I mean, obviously we had a ton of newsy stories. This came out, I found out about this on Friday, I think. So there was rumors going around. I got messages about this and I saw it in some Facebook groups. And then Retro Hoops Collectibles, I think, touched on it in a video as well. And someone else might have talked about it too. There was rumors that HGA had a bunch of layoffs. No one really knew the details, but then the owner actually came out in a Facebook group. I don't know which group that it was in, and confirmed that they actually laid off 2 to 5 people per department. Now, which sucks. I mean, that sucks for those people. Like, that sucks. He said in the statement that it was for, statement's too strong of a word. It was a post in a Facebook group in response to somebody else, but this Facebook post said that it was due to like better tracking measures that gave them the ability to like see basically who was doing good and bad at their job. And they weeded out some of the people that were doing bad at their job. I'm sure that was some of it. 2 to 5 people per department sounds like a lot. And do you really have that many people that aren't good at what they're doing? I could see like, you got 1 or 2 slackers in each department, but 2 to 5 people seems like a good amount of people. Now, the other thing that I've noticed over the last few weeks, and I'm recording this Saturday night, and their queue resets every Monday. They are, and I know that they've upped this recently, but they have not even gotten halfway through their max allotment for the week. It looks like they're basically dead on halfway as I'm recording this at 8 p.m. on Saturday evening. And they have not even filled the queue up for this week yet. And it resets again on Monday. So it's probably not going to. I have not been tracking this closely, but not. If I was a big HGA guy, I would not feel warm and fuzzy about this. I've not seen a lot of their stuff at shows and stuff yet. I still don't see their stuff moving a lot. I've never owned one. I've had one in my hand at shows, but I don't know. Just them laying off 2 to 5 people. The queue's not filling up each week. Maybe they grew a little too fat. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on stuff like this, but it does not give me a warm and fuzzy feeling if I was a big backer of HGA slabs. I'll put it that way for the long run. Makes me a little nervous. The fact that the queue's not filling up. Now they're laying people off. And I think we're going to see, this is not necessarily an HGA specific comment, but I feel like as things get back to more normalcy, that a lot of these companies that popped up out of the blue are going to realize how deep of a swimming pool they're in, if that makes sense. I just don't, especially on the grading company side of things, I don't know that there's room for all these grading companies that have been popping up. More power to you if you're willing to try it. You got a unique angle that you're shooting for there, but That's really quite the hill to climb. And I just hope people were very smart about what they were doing, getting into this sort of stuff, because Beckett's a mess. We all get that. SGC is doing their thing. PSA is eventually going to be a fully operational Death Star again at some point in time. I really don't know what's going on at CSG, but like HGA seems like it's just clinging to relevancy. Um, I made the joke a lot of times. I'm not big on HGA. Like, I'll fully admit that. I am not big on them. I thought that they came out of nowhere strictly because they had a fancy label. If they did not have the customized labels, I don't think anyone would care about them. And then I think they were very smart instituting the queue, both from a don't get overrun perspective, but I think it was also a brilliant marketing maneuver. With limiting the amount of subs, it created a false sense of demand by having an extremely small queue. And it was kind of like when you walk down the street and you hear the thing where there's people lined up in line for something, and a certain amount of people will just get in line because there's other people in line. They don't even know what they're in line for. They just see a line and they're like, oh, yeah, well, okay, something cool must be going on here. Let me get in line. And I almost feel like it was a little bit of that with them, with the limited queue. I think it was a brilliant marketing maneuver by them to build buzz. And like, oh man, all these people want HGA. You can't even get in the thing every week. You got to fight this big thing. It's a whole ordeal. And now all of a sudden that they've opened up capacity, we see that maybe there isn't as much demand for grading with them as we initially thought. Like, when I say we, I mean like the public as a whole, because the queue's just sitting open. And don't forget, Select Football just came out not that long ago. Select Basketball is getting ripped this week by the droves, and their queue's wide open. So that's their whole narrative this week did not give me the warm and fuzzies, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So I think that's it for all the newsy / opening stuff. Let's hop into some just general odds and ends of stuff here with some charts and graphs in the wonderful old market movers. Link in the description down below with coupon code. All right, football. Let's talk football a little bit. It's kind of the same story. I actually went a more macro level approach this week. The only player that really got a big run up on the individual so far was Drew Lock. He balled out last week and looked like he got pretty hyped last year. Really bounced up this week. This is actually his last 14 days. I bounced it back a little further, up 62% the last 14. We'll see where that ends up going. There was some Teddy Bridgewater shenanigans the other day, but I don't know. Locke was pretty much the big winner of the week, and really the 2 weeks. And when you look at football more at a macro level, we've talked about this the last few videos. There's a lot of buzz for football, like going to shows. A lot of people are looking for football, but the prices aren't moving. Because I also think on the flip side, a lot of people are selling football. I think a lot of people are like, let me move this football. It's football time. I don't want to carry this in the season. I don't want to risk injury. I don't want to risk poor performance. Let me sell this stuff now, take whatever profits that I can, and then move that money into basketball or whatever else. But a lot of people are also buying football as well. I still see a lot of people hunting for football at the show today. Everyone was looking for football. But at the same time, prices aren't moving up. So it's the old supply equals demand shenanigans. And, this is the last 30 days sorted by number of sales. Also, new feature market movers. I just noticed this week. Volume percentage change. So like how much the volume increase over the previous period, which I thought was a little interesting. So we're going over the last 30 days, just ranked by number of sales. One, Kyler Murray base Donruss leads the pack. We're not going to talk about every card on here. I just want to scroll down through and notice how much little movement there is on a lot of this stuff. Yeah, there's reds and greens, but it's not big numbers. And this is over a 30-day stretch. So we're going back to basically right before the National. And okay, here's Herbert. And this is rookie cards only and PSA 10 only. Herbert based on Ross down a little bit, up, but you see a lot of 5 and 4% either way. Kyler Murray Prism base actually down 22% the last 30 days is interesting. Joe Burrow down a little bit. Down here, we get into some more green. Dwayne Haskins got a bunch of run. God knows why. Minshew getting a little bit of run. Daniel Jones, paper Donruss down 20%. So you see a few 20%ers here, but most of it's in the 5 and 10% either way. And just not a lot of big spikes or run up. So I continue to say, I think this is going to be a performance based market for this. And once the games start, the second weekend of September, whoever plays well and balls out, I think is going to see run. We've seen that already. Drew Lock had a good preseason game and his prices went up. So I do think there's going to be opportunities there, but you run the risk carrying stuff in to season for injury or poor performance. So you're really just betting on the player that you think he's going to have a really good season. Anyone that underperforms, I think their prices are going to go down fast. And there could potentially be buying opportunities there if it's a player you do believe in long term. We'll see. If Lamar Jackson comes out of the gates and struggles for the first 2 weeks, I think there's a good chance his prices really drop off. And then maybe you could swoop in and make a play there. On the flip side, if Kyler Murray comes out and looks fantastic, I think his prices are going to go crazy to start the season. So I really do think it's going to be very swingy. And you're going to have to be willing to get in and out of stuff, in my opinion. But we'll see. We're in it now. We're in the second week of the preseason. There's one more week to go, and then the regular season starts. So 2 weeks from today, I believe, we have real football games on. I'll be curious to see what happens because so far the market has not seen a big run up since the National. It just hasn't. Certain things have scooted here and there, but in general, it hasn't. If you looked at this same chart last year, if we looked at this exact same time period last year, which this does not let me do, it only lets you go back in certain increments. But if I could go back and look at end of July through September last year, the price increases were insane. Absolutely insane. Go back and watch. I'm sure I have videos on it from a year ago on what the current state of the football market looked like. But we are not seeing that this year. We're not seeing huge decreases, but we're not seeing huge increases either. So we shall see what happens. It'll be very interesting to watch this play out. Switching over to baseball really quick. Not a ton to talk about here. Ohtani got a little bit of a bounce back up this week. He had a very nice week. 40th home run, had a great pitching performance. Your runaway MVP, most likely. Base tops chrome up 20%, refractor up 10%, pink at 3%, but only a couple sold. So we do see his stuff creeping back up again. We'll see if that holds. His stuff has been on a little bit of a roller coaster ride here. If we go back a few months on this, we see it is down quite a bit from its initial peaks back in early July when his base refractor hit 1,000 there for a hot minute. So that's down to 750. And kind of zigzagging its way back down. Maybe it gets a little bit of a run up here with the people remembering that, oh yeah, he is going to be the runaway MVP. And to be honest, the season he's having is absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like this. I don't think anybody has. So do what you will with his cards, but what he is doing on the field is absolutely insane. Whether he could do it for multiple seasons, a whole different story. But this year, anyways, absolutely insane. It's a shame that the Angels suck. It would be so nice to see Ohtani in the playoffs. The other big mover, and this is going back 2 weeks, Eloy Jimenez continues to have a nice little run up. There was one rogue pink refractor sale here that kind of threw things out of whack on that. So I don't necessarily believe this 162 number is the last average because everything else is up. His base refractor is up to 20% or up 20%. His base chrome's up 15%. I think someone just got real lucky on a pink refractor sale here for 160. Someone must have posted something a little too low and someone swooped in and snagged it because these usually go fairly close to the chrome prices, give or take. So kudos to you if you got that for 160 because it's probably about a $215 card most likely. But yeah, Eloy, big winner of the week, continues to go absolutely crazy and will have a deep run. Switching over to basketball, we're going to touch on a couple players, but really nothing is happening in the basketball market right now. Luka, Trey, KD, and a few others had their little run up as the Olympics happened, and then things have kind of leveled off again since then. There's been very slight pullbacks in Luka and Trey after they got that little bump, but in general, they are pretty flat, and you're going to see that across the board. So once again, if you want to buy NBA, now is the time, in my opinion, because it is flat. Maybe it creeps back down a little bit because we were kind of really in a dead period right now. The off season is essentially done. And when I say off season, I mean all the moves. Something crazy could still happen on the Ben Simmons front. I wouldn't be super surprised anytime for a Woj bomb on Simmons. Other than that, I think we're pretty much set. Maybe you get a Lillard deal. I don't know. But in general, a bulk of the movement is over with. So now we're in the quiet time where football is going to steal all the headlines and NBA is really going to get forgotten about for the month of September. And then in October, the NBA preseason kicks back up again. So we're only 6 weeks away from NBA preseason games. That's it. That's really not that long. So if you want to dive back in the NBA, and maybe, maybe this isn't right. Maybe we're going to see the same thing in football in basketball, where we don't get run-ups prior to the season starting. Maybe that happens. I don't know. I think the NBA is a little bit of a different beast because people are more confident to carry NBA players in the season because you don't have as many injury concerns. So that could be a thing. I personally I'm perfectly fine carrying NBA players in the season. I have no issue with that. So we'll see what happens, but the NBA market is flat. Here's Luca, PSA 10 and 9, and Trey, PSA 10 and 9 silvers. And I went back 2 weeks on this. So Luca down 3%, Trey up 8% on their 10s respectively. 9s, Trey down 2%, Luca down 3%. Perfectly flat. If anything, there's still probably a little bit of value in Trey compared to his PSA 9 to PSA 10. We talked about that before. It did close the gap a little bit. It did a little tiny bit, but there's still a pretty wide margin there. If you look at the ratios, look at Luca's, and they're very similar pop counts. His is 3.66 from 10 to 9. Trey is currently sitting at 4. So that should really probably be closer to 3.66. So it's about a half off. So this 9 is probably still a little undervalued. We pointed that out in a video a couple weeks ago. It did get a little bump, but it's still a little bit under probably where it should be. We switch over to the 2019 class, and once again, 2-week time frame, you see very similar things. Ja Morant, PSA 10, actually up 30%. He got a little bit of a bump. Zion, dead flat, 0% change. PSA 9s, 2%, 5%. Last 2 weeks, perfectly flat. Let's look at 17. I had to use base prism for this just because there wasn't enough silver sales. There was like 2 of each of them sold. And in fact, actually, I don't think any Donovan Mitchell silver sold in the last 2 weeks. So I had to go with base. But base on these are a lot lower. They're 4 to 5K pop count on the prism because it's 17 prism and there wasn't as much of it. Tatum and Mitchell prism over the last 2 weeks, I believe again. No, actually I went back 30 days on this one. Over the last 30 days, 0% change on Tatum, 5% change on Mitchell. If that's not the bottom, I don't know what the hell is. If you go a 30-day run and the price basically does not move, to me, that is the bottom. If it was going to go lower, I feel like it would have went lower. So I do think we have a little bit more window here that whatever NBA player you're interested with, you don't have to look at any of these 6 that we just looked at. But in general, and I did scroll through the price movement for NBA, and there really isn't anyone getting a bunch of lift up the last 2 weeks. Basically, since the KD price bump, pretty much everyone's been flat. For the most part, some individual cards have spiked here and there, but the market in general is pretty flat in the NBA. So if you're looking to make moves, I think now's the time. I think I'm going to do a NBA specific video this week. I have one bouncing around in my head that I want to do in regards to like forgotten about players, like players that just no one talks about anymore. Donovan Mitchell would almost be one of them. He's a little too high level for where I want to go. I'm more thinking guys like Garland, Sexton, De'Aaron Fox, guys like that are just completely off the radar and kind of look at some of their prices and see what's going on. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. Like I said, a wild week this week. Still processing everything from it. It was a lot of chatter at the Sunday or at the Saturday show at Canton. I got a lot of questions about it walking around. Shout out to the couple people that I saw that watched the channel. I think I ran into 3 or 4, maybe 5 people that I usually talk to on a regular basis, and ran into a couple other viewers that I've never met in person before. So that was cool. So if you happen to see me at the Sunday show, I'm probably leaving as you're watching this video. Most likely, I usually get there early, make a couple laps, and then try to get in and out in under 2 hours. But we'll see. So yeah, that's all I have. Like, comment, subscribe. Comic book market video tomorrow because that market has really cooled, and I think there's a lot of buying opportunities there that I'm looking at. And I'm looking at some bigger stuff too on the comic book side of things. Not sure what we got lined up for Tuesday and Wednesday. Got a lot of really good feedback from Saturday's video. So if you haven't seen that one yet, maybe circle back to it. It was on buying cards that matter. And then I owe a pickup day video. I had a bunch of mail day and recent pickups from card shows and stuff. And then last week happened and everything got screwed up. So I'll probably wait to see if I buy anything tomorrow and then do a pickup video. That'll definitely be on the schedule for this week as well. So, but yeah, that's all I got. Have a good weekend. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.